Hey, I figured I'd share my thoughts real quick because I'm trying to get better at this, right? To possibly do like updates before we head into the next week or whatever. This is the previous trend line which got broken, which is why we're in a quote unquote bearish market. If you notice, here was the succession of four green candles. Here's the test, rejection to the upside, obviously, of that test. Good thing. And we ran up. Here's another one, ran up, down, down. I want to talk about this run up here, which kind of, I don't like making everything about GME, right? I'm not a cultist, right? But it reminds me of this last November run up when even Squiddy caught the movement, right? And the reason I go to that is because it feels like this is like the last shebang they're gonna let people get in, and I'll show you why in a minute. So this is what it ran up to right here, which was 46.36, right? So this trend line got broken. We got a little bit of saving grace as far as on the daily chart right now, right? This looks good. Everyone's like, oh look, we're back. Again, we're still under that trend line, so be wary of possible rejection around that area due to the fact that it's a 20 EMA along with that trend line that was previously broken. So we might jump up to here and then immediately get smashed down. This is SPX, by the way, I'm looking at. I don't do ES on TradingView because you got to pay and all that, but it's whatever. So moving on, you dump here. This candle looks like one of those famous candles of no more, right? No more down. Sometimes you'll see them and they'll still dip more on the daily or smaller time frames, but this is on a weekly time frame, which is pretty important. The only thing that makes me still bearish is the RSI still on the way down. We're also still due for 2 more reports of inflationary data. Now, what I want to show you is what the other things I have and why we might have bounced. Now, the reason we might have bounced was because we did hit a couple. So there was demand here, and then this demand was caught on the daily. So this demand was actually caught back here. And on intraday, you know, there was some movement here. But then when we started dipping underneath that one, the next one caught. So we caught a little under it, which makes me still a little bearish, but we're very heavily above it. So this above demand zone might now act like a supply zone now. And if that's the case, there's a trend line, there's a 20 EMA, and it might be a supply zone, so there might be some strong rejection downward. Now, to give more perspective on why we could still see some upside is, I have the new lines, which are these, which kind of seems to be the downtrend that we're in. And I'm not saying obviously the people here, but some people might misunderstand is they might see a huge run up, let's say to up here in the 4400s, 4460s, and what'll happen is they'll be like, oh look, the bull market's back, and it's like, no, it might just get rejected at the top end of that trend line. And as long as it meets those requirements and then it sags back down and keeps doing this zigzag downward slope, then that's a bear market. Like, we're still in a bear market. Look for movement at this trend line. I'll share the charts. I've been sharing the SPX one as often as I can, but we need to heavily watch this trend line. This previous demand zone might now act like a supply zone. Currently on the beta, I guess you could call it script that's being worked on for supply and demand, it's kind of wonky, which is why I don't like using it a lot. So we might run into this area here. Over here, the 4130 to 4238. So definitely, again, watch the intersection of the trend line and this demand area, so roughly around the 4200s. I actually like it a little better on the daily. There we go. And if you notice, this is what I'm going to be watching on the immediate short term, right? Like I said, the 4200, 4207 area. Thanks, Chip. 4166 is the 20 EMA. Sorry for that loud barking. I'll try to cut it out to avoid deafening you guys. But definitely watch the trend line meeting with the 20 EMA meeting with the previous demand. So there's that. Have a good one. Have a good weekend. I'll try to have more of these and do like an update kind of deal.